right, go ahead and call order.
Call to order.
Alright, we're good to go.
Not the end call.
We're good whenever you are.
You want to start now?
Yep, we're rolling.
Right. Pledge allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What are we doing? I thought we plugged all those holes.
Those ones we didn't, I looked at that.
Trust me, I wasn't sitting here and picking them out.
All right, welcome everybody. Signature folder. We got 2 timber cuts. I don't think I need to say what the lot number is.
Nope.
Otherwise than that, our assessing company, ART, provided 2 contracts for next year. So we have to sign those. That's it for that. Number 3, make a motion to approve the manifest dated November 21st, 2024 in the amount of $23,020.78.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Make a motion to approve the manifest dated November 27th, 2024 in the amount of $29,055.14.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen minutes dated October 29th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye, for all 3. Make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen minutes dated November 12th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Yeah. Got a letter from Freedom Food Pantry from the election donations of food. I guess it was 184 assorted food items that were delivered by Steve Rigo, member of the budget committee. So she was very, Judy was very thankful for the donation. And we also have Humane Society and Ossipee looking for a donation, so we got some discussions to do in that one from the budget. Remind me, Leah, Caitlin.
Was there there should have been one more thing in there. There was an envelope.
Yeah,
Okay,
I took that out,
oh, okay.
so.
Just wanna make sure.
Board of Selectmen reports. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Chuck.
Okay, Caitlin, the whole thing around the whole payroll stub issue, is that resolved?
Yeah, so she had come in and Michelle, it was one of Michelle's early days, and she actually mailed them.
Okay,
So that should already be resolved.
good, thank you. I meant to do this last meeting and forgot it. Jory asked me at the voting how the windmill status item with the VEO had gone, and I could not remember it. I know, didn't
I don't know, we
Rebecca-
talked about it.
Rebecca sent a letter, I thought, or had gone out and seen it. Was there any follow-up from that?
So I remember that conversation, and I verified personally to the members that were talking to Rebecca that night that they were, cause it was not working, wasn't functioning, but they were working on it and getting it back up running again. And as far as I know, I can't see it from my house, but
Okay. Can we ask Rebecca to take a ride out by that and just see if that's indeed working?
okay, she can't take a ride out there.
No, she can't.
Oh, it's way up in the mountain?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
you gotta walk.
Yeah, right, yeah, never mind, okay,
yeah, I can go take a look at it, I'll just go up there with my side by side.
all right. I just wanted to follow up with Jory, just kinda close.
I mean, it was, they redid all the cables, cleaned up, yeah, it was a lot of work that had been done
Okay,
to get it back up and running, so.
all right. Okay, appreciate that. The school desk item is further down on the agenda, Leo?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay, good. from the historic town hall RFP process, Leo and Mike Conti were kind enough Friday the 15th to, do the walkthrough, with two contractors that showed up, Rooster Productions and Cobalt Construction Management. Rooster's not gonna bid on the project, that means Cobalt will be the sole bidder of the contract. Question I had, Caitlin, when we had done the advertising on that, did you end up posting that? You said maybe you were gonna do something online
It
with
went
it.
on the website, it got sent to construction summary, and then I believe you had sent out emails as well.
Good, I just wanna make sure we can completely document that.
Yep.
So,
It was sent to them as well.
okay, good, cause I actually emailed 6 contractors, 4 from the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance Directory, and 2 of them from the previous project to see if they would come in on it, and Chris was the only one that showed up with Cobalt. I would like to thank Leo and Mike Conti for, doing that work for me, I had to be out of town on that weekend. At the Historic Town Hall, Project Management monthly meeting, Leo and I talked, Leo is the treasurer of the Preservation Society, that we might wanna have a small review team looking at whatever's happening around Cobalt's process. And I was thinking maybe that would be Leo, me, and maybe Jason, and anybody else that wants to do it. We could add the historic architect on there, but that would probably run us in the neighborhood of $1,000 to $1,500 if that's
Yeah,
the kind of transparency we think we need, but I don't think we do. But would the 3 of us be okay, and Chris, would you wanna be part of that, or?
yeah,
I just wanna make sure that, as everything's going along, from making sure from a transparency standpoint, that
as far as the cost and everything.
cost, everything's being looked at in super detail, to make sure we're getting the bang for the buck with that. Okay,
We just have to remember anytime that we go and review anything.
we just have to post
a
it,
Work session.
yep, okay. I had a conference call with George Bourne regarding the project status. He called me, wanted to just find out how 2024 went, which I told him went well, and looking at 2025. And we talked about the annual inspection, which I'm gonna complete within the next 2 weeks, and I'll upload that to the L-chip site. I confirmed with him the type of documentation I was gonna be getting up there from a detail standpoint, he was good with that. The next project phase for 2025, I'm gonna try and get that information in or around the budget requirement for that, in the middle of December, so that they can hopefully approve that in early January. They say up to 4 to 6 weeks, but he told me he thought it would be a pretty quick turnaround time. When they do that, they'll release the next check, which is in the neighborhood of about $55,000 or $56,000, from the next stage of the grant. Looking at some of the work, doing some of the research for next phase. One of the things we're gonna take a look at in the office area is adding windows to the walls to put more light in that area. And we're gonna take a look at not only existing antique windows, maybe from a salvage company, but also looking at reproduction windows made to look like the 6/6 windows that are in the building now. And I've actually reached out to the outfit that I had personally used 4 or 5 years ago out of Barrington, New Hampshire. They're now up in Berlin, but they basically showed interest in it, and I will be calling them back this week. The other subject that came up, knowing that phase 3 and potentially looking at elevator, second set of stairs to be able to use the second floor large community room is a ways down the road. It came to the attention of a couple people that we might be able to help facilitate the fire code and safety needs by having a steel fire escape off the backside or side of the building. So I'm actually gonna look into that. I've just started doing the research on it. Doesn't mean we're gonna do it. It just means we're looking at it at this stage of the game.
Similar to the EPS building?
It's similar to the EPS building, yeah. That's actually what keyed me into it the night that I was there. And I had to stand by the door and I saw that and I went, that might be an alternative. So we're gonna take a look at that and what that might mean in moving forward. Work some more on the accounting aspects of the tracking system for the grants. Cause we're tracking, 3 different grants and as well as additional money from fundraising. And matching that up against the, budget to actual grant 7,000 line, Dave Strauss and Leo have been working on that with the office, and I've been supporting with documentation where I can. I did a follow-up with the the Moose Plate Moose Plate area up in Concord, the Council of the Arts grant that we applied for 20,000. Cause I thought by now we should have heard something. I did get information back this morning, actually, that basically said their committee is to be meeting in early December. They've been a little bit delayed this year. So hopefully we'll be able to get good news and get another grant for that in December. And that's all I have.
One question, you be putting a voucher in for the remaining balance?
7,200?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I forgot to bring it with me tonight. But what I'll do is I'll reach out, I'll drop it off at their office if Chris can just come by and sign it, and then we can give it to you. Cause I was looking at it, it's a $7,200, one invoice, $7,200.
Yeah, just close out for the year,
Yep,
just wanna,
that one, well, there'll actually be another one before year end. So there's gonna be some more money
okay,
next week, that'll coming in from 3 or 4 different invoices.
okay,
So I'll give you the one for November, and then there'll be another one coming in for December.
okay.
And I have one last item, I just remembered it. I did talk to, Chris sent me an email, Chris, Garcia from Cobalt, wanting to know on the RFP if he could have an extension of a week or so. He wants to actually bring in a couple of subcontractors to see if they can nail down tighter numbers
When did you give him a date for the RFP to be in?
mid-December.
And he's looking first of the year?
I'm gonna still try and get him into the latter part of the year, but he needs at least another week or so. Cause he's got some vacation and holidays in there.
That's okay.
Okay. And, now I'm done.
Just a couple of things, the winter roads contractor, brought in a little material and leveled off that area of Wilkinson Swamp Road that we talked about. There was minimal impact to the boulders that were there on, that property that we discussed. I have it written down and I can't think of it right now. They own a flower shop in Rockland, Massachusetts, first name is Dean, thought that would ring a bell, it's not. Took pictures of it, just to, you know, as he requested, just to send him a picture, but they mostly just had to level it off because it was pitched at an angle, so the turnaround's all set. Talked to Mike from WorkSafe, our signs that we ordered will be here next week, I gotta get down and pick them up. I will be in the first of the week, he's gonna email me a invoice on Monday. I'm gonna bring it in to see if I can get, so when I go down and pick them up, I can get a check, toward the end of next week. So it'll be on the manifest on Tuesday. So I can go pick the signs up, that's just the easiest way, I figured, if you guys agree,
Yep.
so.
Good.
That'll take care of, he's having an issue getting the stop signs, but should be cleared up by then. The stock on those, everything else is not an
I
issue.
bet we could buy one real cheap. I saw one on the ground in front of Bill Taylor's store the other day. Looked like it was for sale.
Oh, is it good shape?
It's in perfect shape.
I might stop by and make an offer. I just, the one on the end of Elm Street and the one on the end of School Street are kinda, they serve the purpose for now, but they're kinda ridiculous, they're kinda small, but.
Did you put the tonnage sign on that bridge on Pine River?
So that was next.
Oh.
So, and working with the road agent, of the requirements from DOT, we had some deficiencies on, the confusion is it's Huckins Pond Road, they actually call it Drake Road, on the DOT listing.
Right.
It's actually Huckins Pond Road, it is Wilkson Brook, so there's some confusion there because Wilkson Brook is also on Wilkson Brook Road, it also crosses Townhouse Road. So, but it is at Hutchins Pond on Drake Road, there was some deficiencies, the weight limit signs and the 1-lane bridge signs were both down and missing. So they had been erected, the road agent took pictures per DOT's request. I got them to Caitlin, she sent them off, so those deficiencies are taken care of. That was the only bridge, deficiencies we had in town, so that's good. And that is all I have right now. Unless usually I remember something afterwards.
We'll keep you on the record. Pretty busy last, well, week, here like 3 days in a row, almost full time. We did have a meeting with RMN IT. It was a very productive meeting. Thank you, JT and Caitlin. Otherwise, it's just more working with the office people, covering stuff. I'm not gonna go in detail. It was good. Town administrator report, please.
Pretty simple, I've had, meetings with vendors, and joined on a meeting with JT for the hazard mitigation plan for Homeland Security. Tax rate was set and bills were sent to the printers last week. So people should start seeing those in their mailbox here very shortly.
Yeah, I changed my PO box.
As well, with JT's help, emails have been changed for all town municipal employees and board members. They've also been all updated on the website as well, so if you were to look on the website, all of them have been corrected to show who you should email. And then the other thing I had is I talked with our website representative today. Chris, I know you had mentioned you had met with them during the NHMA conference and you were talking about 311.
That was one of the things, yeah.
So I did talk to them today and I mentioned, or I asked them about maybe a demo to see if that's something you guys may eventually wanna look into. He said to get a time and we could set one up. So 311 is pretty much, so, and Chris can back me up on some of this, for residents, if you see any issues with roads, potholes, this is one of the items that are on there. They could go onto the website, they can mark, hey, pothole on Pine River Road, and it gets notified. I think there are a few more other possibilities that I'm not aware of 100%, but a demo would definitely explain all the options they have there. So if you are looking for a demo, I'd be more than happy to set it up, I just wanna know what time's good for you. He did say he's pretty open December 12th, I did mention if we were to do one, it would have to be an evening,
So if we go on the web
it's a
and,
Thursday.
if we go on the web and, mark the say pothole on the road, who reacts to that?
We would have to ask them that, I'm pretty sure it would get sent to a designated email, but I don't know too much about 311 to give you an answer on that. So if you,
Were you looking at it?
No, I was looking at a date.
Continue.
and the last thing is for Access GIS. I know we're gonna plan to have a further conversation about this later on, if I'm correct. I did get information from Mr. Rossi and what was discussed at last meeting. There is some differences compared to what would actually need to be paid out at the time we sign up to what we had stated.
Yeah, I'll add it on to the end of, business.
Okay, perfect, we'll add that on then. Other than that, that's it.
So underneath the, email post. So it wasn't just a 311, there was something that we already have in our system that
Yep.
we're not utilizing.
Nope, he talked to me with that too, which is something very easy that I could do. It's the attachments on the agenda,
Yeah.
it's just, all I have to do on that is go ahead and put the attachments on, which is very simple to do. And I'd be more than happy to utilize that, so pretty much meaning if there's business, so. Say for example, the bids, I can scan them on and put them as attachments. Bids I can't actually do if they're sealed, but for example, like today where they're already opened.
Is that a fire alarm?
Oh,
It's-
I know what it is.
think I do too.
The carbon monoxide thing had to be unplugged, so the battery's chirping.
Got it, okay.
Why?
Because our backup at the kiosk failed. So now people wanna use the kiosk, we've had to plug that in until we get a new one in.
I back up what?
The big battery packs, is there one over there? I don't think there is. The battery packs for the
Oh, yeah.
computer, for like the surge protectors and the backup battery.
This one down there.
That made the carbon monoxide detector go off?
No, that's unplugged, so the battery's low.
It's not charging a battery.
The carbon monoxide detector is plugged into a
It's
surge
plugged
protector?
in, no, it's plugged into the wall, but right now the kiosk had to be plugged in so someone could use it.
So it's a UPS that's speaking, not the.
No, it's the carbon monoxide because it has a low battery, because the backups is not plugged in. That makes sense.
You're on it, right? Okay, JD's on it.
Yeah,
We have the fire department here, we're covered.
We're covered. Is that it?
that is it.
Alright. This is, chief?
We
Not
on.
quite, skipping in, those thoughts.
Okay, go next.
Oh, I'm
Jim?
not ready. No, I'm just kidding.
You're up.
Will I come up so I'm in the field of view?
Please do. Please do.
Dave, are you gonna be a part of this?
The audience, I guess.
You're in the audience, okay.
Thank you, Jim.
I got some paperwork to pass out, so. Yeah,
Hey, sir.
sure.
Thank you so much.
You guys want to follow along? All right, well, I'm here at the request of the chairman
you,
to
Jim.
talk about the school budget and its impact on our taxes, which is not insignificant. So we could say understatement of the evening. And I'm basically here as a resource, so whoever'd like to take the lead.
Can I start?
Yes, please. Jump in.
Well, first, do you wanna give a brief overview of what this is about, just for the camera and everybody?
Yes, we can do that. I don't have all the notes in front of me. You have it? Breakdown? The increase?
I have it's $2.99 essentially, if my math is correct.
Right, so basically the school budget went up $3.17. Town tax went down
County went down.
13 cents,
13 cents and the county went down
21 cents.
21 cents. So with the big increase with the town, with the school budget, which is probably the biggest increase we've ever seen. Correct?
Close to it. There was previously in 2000,
Right, there were
By
a few
my-
years ago.
yeah, 2017-18 was a substantial jump as well.
So, yeah, what we're trying to do is head it off. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of disgruntled taxpayers once they see their tax bill. So, the reason why I invite you here, so we can have a,
Sure.
people can explain it.
My first question was, Jim, if you wouldn't mind going to the third page, which is the chart that gives the breakdown.
Yep.
I just really need, I mean, I think I've got my head wrapped around, although, there's nothing I can do about it, but I think I have my head wrapped around the math and the breakdowns and the percentages and so forth. I'm just, on the bottom section, below the three arrows that are pointing up, that highlighted section,
Yep,
trying to do that math where it says, from state, and it says local tax rate, second line, where it says $3,352,418. Is that then followed by times 1,000, divided by 217,778,061?
correct,
Equals 15.36%.
that's right. Yes,
So if you in turn go to the next line, there is only $300,000 difference in the local assessment between the local and the state. The first two numbers are the same. It comes up with a percentage of 2.02, which creates a combined local and state of 1738. When I did the math, that first number is actually 1535 or 34, and the second one is 15 something. I'm not sure. If you do 3,352,418 $1,418 times 1,000 divided by 214, 348, 909. It does not equal 2.02%.
Okay, well, you're multiplying that $3 million times the 1,000 divided by.
Correct.
21, so that's where you should be getting your 2.02 without the luxury of having a calculator such as Mr. Fuller has. Can't really check the math there to see if it's a math error.
Which, I mean,
Yeah,
if you, the way I did the math, it would make that horrendously higher, so I'm hoping, but it just made me curious of how that equation all figures out.
I get the same thing you did, Chris.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had my reading glasses. This is difficult to. Oh, really? You're the man. Oh, look at that. I'm keeping these. Equals. Okay, that's a pretty small number.
1564.
That's what you came up with?
Yeah, I think there's a wrong number in there somewhere.
Yeah, I got totally different number from either of you. But, oh, wait a minute, maybe this is it.
Without having somebody check my work, I'm looking at that going, okay. I like to play devil's advocate, I'm known for that, I say that to school board meetings. It makes me start to wonder about the rest of the figures. No offense to anybody, but.
Yeah, this is terrible, I'm getting wild numbers here, so, yeah, I'm not getting that number in either combination I'm doing. All I can say is, Kathy O'Blenis, who's our SAU business manager, she's the master of all this number crunching. And, it's very possible there could be an error in that formula. I don't have a response to it, I don't know. I would have to get back to her on that. Let me just shift gears a little bit.
Absolutely.
This cover sheet that I gave you, this is a copy of an email that Kathy had with Dave Strauss, where she was commenting on what she saw as the significant changes in terms of what affected the tax rate. And she called out 3 different items here. One was the ADM, the average daily member figure, where we were up 10 and a fraction students, so that changed us up by about a half a percentage point from fiscal 24 to 25. The other one was equalized valuation went up, so that represents a 0.28% increase there. And then the last was the probably the most significant was the decrease in revenues under a section called grant. So what's impacting the overall tax rate here, as I see it, is that we're getting reduced funding from the state. The actual budget went up last year about 3%. So it was in line with what we typically see year over year. Usually it's between, well, in the time I've been there, from about 1.5% to 3 something. So the big change was, as Kathy points out here, but the funding from the state is gonna continue to be a problem, because they keep saying they're gonna cut funding, not only the education funding that we've been getting, but they're gonna make a major cut in funding of special education. And we have special education students in town, but certainly throughout the whole district, so it's gonna have a big impact. I'm gonna predict that next year's taxes are gonna make this year's taxes look pretty good. Don't quote me for figures or anything on this, but it's courtesy of your legislature that, the Commissioner of Education has already come out and said, expect me to cut special education funding majorly to the towns. This last election confirmed that he'll be able to retain his seat. He's also said he's going to cut funding to the Education Trust Fund, which is going to reduce payments to the towns. And they're also going to get more aggressive with issuing these Education Freedom Account payments out to kids going to private schools, most of whom don't need the money. It's really a nice tax break for the wealthy. But eventually, because it impacts the Education Trust Fund, we will pay for that. So we're gonna see some major increases in the tax burden on all of our towns. And we being a small town, we're really gonna suffer. Now, to get back to the number here, I'd have to go back to Kathy and just confirm whether that's correct or not. So I apologize, I can't say whether that is a real number or not. But as she's suggesting already, now this is a budget currently that's already being expended. We're in this fiscal year, it came out in the annual report that we would have gotten at the deliberative session in February. Now, we are currently working on the budget for the next fiscal year. We don't have any real numbers on that at this point. So the numbers are the numbers. Unfortunately, I'm willing to reach out to Kathy and say, did we make a mistake there? And let her confirm whether some of these numbers are correct or not. She's usually pretty good at triple checking all of her numbers, so I know that she was really focused on providing us with this specifically highlighted version of the distribution of costs. All of these yellow highlight areas are just for Effingham, so when we look at this little block where she did the calculations, she could have made a mistake on that.
And again, I mean, absolutely no offense, just looking at this and, breaking it down.
Sure.
I'm like, okay, does this mean that first number is multiplied, the second number divided by the third, and that gives you the percentage? And I'm looking at the $300,000 difference, which is a lot of money, but
Yeah.
it's not. That doesn't, in my mind, that didn't equate to a 13% difference.
Yeah.
So I did the math, and the three reasonings, again, from like a layman and trying to explain this to, the public. If you look at this, 75% of our funding and our responsibility is the ADM, the average daily membership
Right.
enrollment. So correct me if I'm wrong, I could come back over and get my glasses, but I think there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
there's a difference of over $600,000 of an increase. And so one will say, well, if our tuition is roughly $16,000 per student, some in that vicinity,
Yeah,
and so $16,000 and there's 10.5 students, which I don't know how you get 0.36 students, but, I get that's how it all works, there's half people in every, thing you do, whatever, but, so,
well, they may come in during the middle of the school year.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Do you have a number, how many students from Effingham?
Currently, yes, I do, it's in your package,
It's in the last page. Last page.
I didn't go that
last
far.
page.
But it's like, if that's 100, just doing, rounding it up at $16,000 and there's 10 students, well, that's $160,000, that's a far cry from 600,000.
Yeah.
So, and with that being 75% of that $600,000, that still seems, when I'm trying to explain it, and I'm really trying to understand it myself, it's
Yeah.
like,
I
how does
don't,
10 students equate to $600,000?
I don't know if any of those are special education students. Now, special education is kind of a wild card because it depends on the student. But typically, that per student cost is usually $100,000, and it can be more. So just a few special education students can really skew the numbers.
Right.
I don't know that that's the explanation, but I mean, that's possible.
So the special education student, let's say if we have two, the town pays for the two kids?
That's
Or is
correct.
that distributed around all townships?
I'm pretty sure it's distributed through the district, but I don't know.
So
what
if
the
there's like
apport-
20
what the
kids or something like that,
apportionment
it's
is, yeah.
divided by, among all the districts.
Yeah, I don't think the full burden is put on the town, the originating town. I think the district takes up, a fair
Yeah.
portion of it.
I do, I just don't,
Yeah, I don't know the number.
That'd be a good question to answer.
yeah,
Yeah,
Get an
yeah, I
answer
don't
to
know.
that.
Well, I do know, when, like I said, we're working in the current budget, when you look at operating costs for the different schools and so on, and, typically you might see and this is minus, salaries and benefits. You might be talking about $500,000 tops for a school, elementary school, special ed's 3 million. Okay, so, it's a pretty big chunk. And it can vary greatly from year to year depending on the students, especially if you have a severely disabled student that has to be tuitioned out, in other words, sent out of town. And there's, transportation costs and all that sort of thing, it can really add up quite quickly. But again, I have no details on that, so I don't know whether that's the impact.
and that's a hard conversation to have, because you certainly don't want to go on record asking too many questions about the burden that is created by special,
And you won't get that
needs children.
information.
Yeah, you won't get it.
Because the
Right,
laws and all that sort of thing,
Yeah.
really limit how much is shared publicly. But, we have aggregate numbers, so I mean, we can find out in total what the expenses are. You may not even know whether it's in your town though, when you get the special ed person to give you that information.
So can I interject one thing? I just wanna make sure everybody, outside audience. There's 225 students attending the school system.
This is a number we have
From that
as of
beginning.
October. This is the elementary, middle, and high school. I didn't get any numbers for LRTC, and I don't know whether that's because we don't have any students there, the Lake Region Technical Center.
Okay.
I don't know, but if we do, it's probably only a few anyways.
So where you bring that up, observation. So 75% of the formula is the number of kids attending school. It's a 1 year in arrears.
Right.
We went up 10 kids this year. The current number is 225. That is a jump of 22 kids from where we sit today. Because this was all predicated on 203 kids.
So where do you get numbers? How do we get it different?
So we're going to be getting a bump, in addition to what Jim said of all the impacts that are gonna hit us. We're also gonna get another impact because of our growth in kids.
which,
So that's only gonna go up.
which leads me into my last, and I believe my final question or point. Is, well, actually, I had two, and that is, you said there's only a 3% increase in the budget? Cause I thought it was higher
It's the
than
budget we're working under currently,
that, okay.
yeah. I don't know what it'll be for next year yet.
And the other thing I have is, we get the list of students. The selectmen do and the town does, to review and kind of go through that. How deep can we legally verify those kids?
That's a good question. I would say if you have any question,
We looked into that 3 years ago. We can't go deep. We can give it to the school can have the truant officer do some deep dive.
exactly, I would just go through the SAU office, either contact the superintendent. Yeah, and this is not a unique situation to Effingham by any means, that there are always some questionable students in terms of where do you live now? Yeah, I mean, reach out to the SAU and, they can, always give you a yes or no if you have a question on a specific person. You know, they can't give you a lot of information, like, well, why are they living where they're living and those sort of things, but.
Well, we can, attain a list of all the students though, right?
We do get that, they give that
Yeah,
to
right.
Yeah,
us.
you should get I
Yeah,
think
we did,
Patty
yeah.
gives it to you,
But there's no address or nothing.
yeah.
Right, and there's never been a specific student or students that I questioned. It's just, again, we have to answer to the constituents and the townspeople.
Oh, yeah, sure,
And when, to Chuck's point, that increases 20 students next year, we have a fiduciary responsibility to vest every single one of those students that they are our financial responsibility.
right, absolutely, yeah,
So it's not
They affect your
specific
ADM,
students,
yeah.
just,
yeah,
And all we can do when we get that list is we can share that list inside the office. And basically, if we've got a question on, we're not sure this student is really here or not, all we can do is point that out to the school district, and the school district will follow up and verify. We can't go beyond that. We can just say, hey, we'd like this particular name looked into, that's as far as we can go. We can't do any more.
but we would have to have some sort of clue to this individual.
It's only the knowledge which you have, being in the position you are right now. If you don't know the people, you don't know the people.
So how big would that list be for you?
And what's,
Pretty substantial to vest every, half of those kids, I've been here for 50 years and we all fit in this one room when I was a student, so what's that tell you?
It's
been this- we've grown
it's not an easy process.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, again, I would just say, when you have questions, contact the SAU office, and, hopefully they can give you at least some meaningful response, a yes or a no, but, yeah, beyond that, there's all kinds of limitations as to what information they can share.
Dave?
You do have a select board policy on validating the school list. And you do have interactions and you authorize interactions in that policy prior to going to the school board, so I suggest you get the stuff on that, because we do, with the town administrator, validate that every year.
Yes.
So
And the
there is
town
a
clerk.
complete procedure on how to do that and verify it, and it has been verified every year.
Yeah.
And the second thing is not every single year, it's every 2 years.
right.
So we already know for a fact that it's over $18,000 a child, based on the current rate. We know the number for next year that Governor Wentworth's gonna hit us, 10 students, that's 180,000. We also know the state is reducing us, because that number is in a year in arrears, like Chuck's talking about, it's gonna be reduced by 54,000. So already we know, without the school increase, unless they receive state funding, we're over $1 again just for the school rate for next year. We already know that, that's already in stone. So it depends on whether or not the school receives any state funds that would reduce that. That has happened in previous years sometimes. They don't know that, like Jim has stated, until they get deep into their budget process. But you could be almost guaranteed that we're gonna end up with an over $1 increase right now, just with the numbers that the school board has, that they're gonna be plugging in, Kathy will be plugging in next year. I mean, that's already a given.
When you did the review this February, you had what, 18 more kids than the previous year? How many did you have?
14,
14?
Say I thought it was-
14.3.
Okay.
14.3. And the one thing I just wanted to point out on that is, I mean, I've been through this formula a million times, different ways, and I understand the way it works, but in 2019, you know that I was involved with the school and with the finance committee. And the thing I'd like Mr. Pittman to get, to understand, I guess I should say, is it's not only because we don't receive the state funding, which I fully understand how that, and I agree with you, it's the impact. If you want a healthy co-op, and I said that to the school board and the finance committee, if you want a healthy co-op, you have to have a proportion formula that levels out your funding in order to do that. When you hit a town with 35% of their operating budget And the year before that, 18% of their operating budget, and then you turn around to Wolfboro, and they're only 9%, 11%, they're barely hitting their operating budget. You're just whacking those small towns too hard in their operating budget. And I would implore you to please, again, try to get the school board to form a committee to look at the proportion formula that was established in 1964.
Right,
And it needs to be leveled out if you want a healthy co-op. And that is a major factor of what would control the increases that we're seeing in our town. There's no select board or budget committee that can actually do a good budget when you're giving us the swings of what you're giving us. We take a look at Ossipee right now, over 1.5 million increase from last year. That's, as I told them back in 2019, you're gonna start hitting these small towns. How do you think the co-op's gonna end up being when you start putting that into the towns? Our delinquent rate last year was astronomical. What do you think it's gonna be this year? We all know it when you see almost a $3 increase.
We'll go bankrupt.
We need the committee, the school board to form a committee to oversee the proportion formula. 70% or better of the co-ops in this state are 60-40. There are a lot that are even higher than that. But we are the one few that are 75-25 that our school board has refused to look at changing. We need to lower that impact if they want a healthy co-op. Please, Jim. That is definitely something we need to go back to the school board. A 2-cent increase to Tufton Borough and Wolfboro in order to level out some of this is only gonna help the co-op. If we go bankrupt, who's gonna pick up our amount? It's gonna be them. And they're forcing the small towns into that. So I just can't enforce that high enough to say that that is definitely something that's needed. And I agree with you 100%. The state legislature, they look at their budgets, they look at the budgets and they say, oh, we can't raise our budget, thinking that it'd look bad for them, and they know that that's over the whole state. Instead, they force it down to the individual communities who have to put their budgets up in order to cover what they've cut. So I agree with you on that. That's a hard thing for the school. What options do you have but raise or cut? Those are the only two options I know of.
yep, all right.
But please,
Well, I'll bring your concerns to the finance committee.
Well, address his concerns,
All of
all of ours.
Well, yes, but he put it very eloquently.
Yeah,
he
They
did.
give Dave credit.
Yes, please do, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chair, there's a person.
Yes, please.
Do you have an update on what's happening with the Claremont decision, because isn't there a court case around that?
Well, the Claremont decision was 30 years ago where,
Right.
you know, the state Supreme Court ruled against the state saying we were inadequately funding public education. That was 30 years ago. Well, right now, the Supreme Court is against, New Hampshire Supreme Court is again bearing down on a case where their preliminary judgment from the Superior Court was, yes, the state is still not doing enough to fund education, and now it's before the Supreme Court. So we'll see where that goes. I'm hopeful that they will agree that the state needs to fix it. However, we know 30 years ago when that happened, the state basically ignored them. And has been very slow to move in any sort of constructive direction. They could do the same thing. They could just say, well, you know, it's too bad, folks, we're sorry. I mean, I don't know how they get away with it. You know, you would think if the Supreme Court had ruled against the body, they would have leverage, but I don't know what that is. You know, how do you get them to pay up? In the past, they haven't, but I think, you know, we have to make people aware that this is going on, so that it's not like, oh, you know, those school budgets are overinflated, you know, I heard they got gold-plated urinals now. You know, that's not the truth. It's, you know, there's a lot of thought and effort going into holding the line on expenses, and if there are increases, keeping them as small as we possibly can. So I don't think it's a budget problem from the school end, but, you know, when you add up all the schools and students and everything, we're essentially one of the largest, if not the largest employer in the county, the school district. Yeah, I mean, this was 63 million dollars in the current budget, and it's gonna go up this year. That's the cost of running a school system. So I understand people's frustrations, and it's easy to blame the district, that we're not doing our job, but we have co-conspirators in terms of our government is just not stepping up. You know, saying there's no new taxes, folks, but, you know, have they looked at the property taxes? You know, that's where they sweep it under the rug and say, yeah, we didn't have a sales tax or an income tax, but you property owners, you don't mind, do you? End of rant.
Any other questions?
I just always like that, anytime I have a chance for this opportunity, it's being televised, there's some folks here. The voucher system, I have many issues with it, but the main issue I had, which I had a personal experience myself, I think I talked to you about this, was I applied for the voucher system because I wanted my grandson to go to a different public school, and I was denied because it's not afforded from one public school to another, only if he wanted to go to a private school.
That's
And it's
correct.
supposed to be education choice.
Right, yes. Yeah, and to be clear, I'm not against vouchers in terms of what they try to achieve. And the achievement of giving choice to students who are not receiving the services that they currently have to be able to go somewhere else, I think is a great idea. It's just that the one we have now doesn't do that. It basically 80% of the money goes to people who already have children in private school and who can afford it, and 20% are for kids who come from families of modest means, who need other educational resources, and it's only $5,000 a year. If you're going to a private school, it's gonna cost you $20,000 plus to go to another private school, and there's only 2 private schools in Carroll County, but, so there's not a lot of resources here. So it really is a deficient mechanism for trying to accrue a benefit to children who really need it. And it's become a rebate for the wealthy, unfortunately, at our expense. It's there in the bottom line, and it's gonna get worse.
To the tune of $2.02 per thousand.
Yeah,
This $3 increase.
yeah, so, you know, the wealthy, thank you.
Yes, please.
One other thing, for people from Effingham who do wanna have their voice heard at the school board, the school district, other than giving messages to you to deliver this deliberative session, but is there another, what do you recommend so that, you know, people from Effingham can have their voice heard as far as impact on these small towns is?
You mean at the state or at the school
At the
level?
school.
School meetings, your meetings and
Coming
stuff.
to the meetings or
Well,
on the agenda.
sure. The next monthly school board meeting for Governor Wentworth is going to be on December 2nd. It's a Monday. It's at 6 PM, and unfortunately, it's all the way at the New Durham School. So it's the farthest end of the district. But we will be looking at the preliminary budget. The entire board will see the preliminary budget, so you can hear that, see that as well. The big thing beyond that is every February, we have the deliberative session at the Art Center, Kingswood. And all the citizens in the district can come to that, and you're able to actually participate in the process. People can make motions to amend the budget, and we get a very light turnout. Usually there's really not a significant number of people that come and let their voices be heard. But you're welcome to come and hear the presentations, get involved in the conversation, and actually potentially affect the budget.
February,
February, let me see if I got it on my calendar here,
this we can put it on the website.
February 1st, it's a Saturday, February 1st.
Like the town meeting.
at 10 AM.
Jim, if I may,
Yes,
14 years I've been in town, this is the first time I've heard about any kind of deliberative session that the district puts on. Because you don't advertise it.
well,
It's on the website.
it's on the website.
It's on the
You
website,
might-
I have no kids in the school board,
Oh, yeah.
in the school district at all.
Yeah.
So I have no reason to go on the school district's website.
So in the future,
So a mailer
Is there a
could be
mailer
helpful,
that sends
cause I
out?
get,
I think these actually
They
do
do
have
go out.
it mailed out.
They do get,
I have
they,
never seen one.
Oh,
they actually, it's usually just a single page folded
It's a
flyer.
copy-
That's
it's a
correct,
copy
that's
of
correct.
The warrant, basically,
Yep.
that we all vote on in March, but I have no knowledge about a deliberative session. 14 years I've been in town.
And these
So-
get distributed beforehand, and usually there's some in the lobby here. You can come down and grab them, which will give you a lot of detail if you, if you really want to read it about the budget and what's going on in the schools.
so we'll add it to the website.
I did just have a question. What was the location of that February 1st?
The art center at the
Yeah.
high school.
Thank you.
Kingswood.
That's what I thought I heard, but I just wanted to make sure.
It'll be on our website.
Yeah. Yeah, and I encourage people to get involved in terms of coming to meetings, because, you know, the monthly school board meetings are, you know, open to the public, and come, you can make comments, and certainly, of course, you can listen to what's going on. Again, the December meeting will be preliminary budget information. Certainly, there's going to be more work done on it, but the whole board will have a chance to weigh in on the budget for next year, 25, 26. And, yeah, I mean, you can come and speak.
One more question, so January, where does the board meet, cause it changes every month.
It does, it goes
So
around.
maybe that could be on the town website, school, you know, the monthly meeting.
We could actually do we could do a link on our site over to the
Over to
calendar
that, so people
area for
know.
the school.
Can you do that?
I'll check. I know there is a link to Governor Wentworth, but I don't know if it goes directly to your calendar, so I can check that out
The
though.
school board.
Yeah, go to the school board section and the calendar under that, and it has all
Okay.
these meetings. And
Yeah, I can go ahead and I can.
for some reason, I don't, wait a minute. January 6th will be the, January school board meeting, and apparently that's also gonna be at the Kingwood Arts Center, so. And that's, we start 6 o'clock for the non-public, 7 o'clock for the, main meeting. So, come for 7.
So the one in Durham is 7, not 6.
Yes, it actually is 6, we call the order at 6, but like you do with the manifest and so on, we don't actually go into full session until 7.
Okay.
So,
Right,
Okay.
any other questions?
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
okay, I wish I could give you more direct answers on some of these items, but, let me know, or contact the SAU office directly, and, essentially anybody can do that if they want to.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
JT, you're up.
Alright, brought some friends with me, so I'm gonna get them all in here.
Thanks, Jim.
You guys don't have to stand in the quarter.
No, they gotta be in the camera.
Yeah, they're all you.
Oh, really?
It was called positioning.
Yeah, the book.
Randy, how come you get to stand over
You're supposed to
there?
be over here so the camera can
You gotta
see.
be over there, on camera.
Is there a camera?
Got it?
Yeah, right up there. Do I have to record this though?
That's right, Mark.
Alright,
Oh, yeah,
bring it
you're
around.
live on
Just go over
YouTube.
there by Rid.
Bring it around.
No, get over there, here, now, over. Thank you.
That's what I'm getting baited.
Alright, we got everybody? Bear with me, I didn't rehearse in the mirror with this, so I'm gonna read off the best I can, but Mr. Bayer, can you step forward, please?
You're fired, sure.
Yeah, in front of everybody. So this is Mike. Mike is one of our firefighters here in town. Mike is a resident of Effingham. He lives here in town with us. Been with us since September of '23. So since Mike joined, he's been a huge asset to our department. He's an incredibly motivated guy. He's always there when we need something, special projects, anything like that. Mike's always been there for us. He's got a really busy home life. He does work a full-time job outside the fire department. As you can see, he's got a little one here. And despite all of that stuff going on, Mike just took the commitment and went to firefighter 1. So firefighter 1 is our basic firefighting training that's required for any firefighter to be an interior qualified firefighter. It's about 200 hours of training and then all the extra studying on top of that. So Mike has made that huge commitment to our town, our department, and the people of this town. And just last week, he finished all his tests and graduated. So I'm incredibly proud of Mike for all he's dedicated to this department in this town. I'm proud of his wife and his family for helping him through and allowing us to take so much of his time. So I wanted to publicly congratulate Mike on passing his firefighter 1 and officially present him with his black helmet finally.
And it's not just one baby, he actually has a whole football team.
Congratulations, Mike. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're down the line, brother. Congratulations, sir.
And we're not done there. So, Mr. Bloom, can you step forward, please? So this is John. John's one of our firefighters. He doesn't live here in Effingham. He lives a little ways away, but he makes the trip up a couple times a week to work shift for us. Again, since he joined, he's been a great member of our department. He's been extremely helpful. He's been there when we need him. He's been with us since June of this year. Currently, he's attending an EMT class, another one of those classes that has a lot of hours that these guys put into it. And they do it to directly benefit the people of the town. You know, they're getting this education to respond to your emergencies and come out and help you in the field. So with that being said, his class is in Hampton, New Hampshire. So he's traveling a little ways. So he drives some pretty busy highways on his way to class every week, 2 days a week. So just last week, I believe it was last Monday, he was driving through Dover on Route 16 and a car had run over a mattress. And this car dragged the mattress a little bit and ultimately ended up pulling over and catching on fire. He was traveling behind the vehicle and observed that the vehicle was catching on fire, and unlike everybody else around, he actually stopped and pulled over and went to help the person in the vehicle. The young lady was still in the vehicle and didn't really want to get out. She was trying to gather belongings and things like that, and John was able to coerce her to get out of the vehicle and get to safety. John got her to safety and waited for the fire department to arrive to take care of the fire. So he was off duty, not something he needed to do, you know, he wasn't obliged to stop on the side of Route 16 and help this woman, but he did. And he did so representing our town and our department. So I wanted to express how proud I am of John for doing that, for representing our town and our department the way he did. During that debacle, he did burn up his duty boots. So standing so close to the fire, he melted the toes of his boots. So we'll give John a new pair of duty boots to replace his boots to thank him. But we're not quite done. That same week, he went back to class on Wednesday, and on his way home, he was on Route 95 in Greenland. And a couple cars in front of him, he witnessed a multi-vehicle car accident. Happened right in front of him. Same deal. He stopped, he pulled over, he helped people. It was a nasty crash. There was fire involved in the crash, multiple very serious patients from that crash. And John stopped and helped out, and even once the local fire departments arrived, he stayed around to help in whatever manner he could, all while wearing Effingham fire gear, equipment, showing our name. So, again, 2 in a week, we're very proud of the way he's represented our department.
Note to self, don't drive in front of Bloom.
I'm worried to go back to class next week.
Now I'm done. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thank you for your service. And all of you, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Want to snap it for you,
I would love to snap a photo.
We call it, oh.
How's your brother?
What are we doing?
He's okay.
Do we have a float?
You just
Do you wanna do it by the flag?
No, you can go right around.
Right in the middle.
Go around
Right
here?
over there, right in the middle.
Where are we going?
Flag.
Oh,
Maybe he'll win one in 2 weeks.
Trust me.
Very handsome.
Alright.
Come on, Mr. Barry, come on up
Congratulations.
here. Mike. Come on, it's your cameo. Look at that. Joe, Michael.
Hey, you want?
Do you want his family?
Sure.
Yeah, come on up.
Sorry, I'm hijacking the meeting.
That's okay.
No problem.
We're used to it.
Mike, you have a go. Hi,
In training.
hi.
Smile, JT, smile.
Alright, you get a picture of me, you can get rid of that mustache now.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.
I'll shoot you.
Alright, moving on.
Good to see you, John.
You too, Chris.
I didn't see you hiding.
How's Randy? Everyone asks about Scott, don't ask about Randy, you got another one.
Well, Scott's in the hospital, that's why they asked about Scott.
I'm gonna county boss, might go to Alex.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for playing your game. Have a good night. Thank you very much.
Alright, next on the agenda is Pine River Road bids. I'll let you go ahead and talk about it. You're the road.
I'll tell the door.
So for the people present, we got the bids in for the Pine River Road project. And there were some major differences in the bids. So to even the playing field, we just asked them to all, resubmit with the same amount of gravel, which is 150 tons, to come up with a new number. And, I mean, they range from 279 to as high as 400 and, something, 444, I believe. So with the 150 tons of gravel, delivered, all the bids are within $10,000 of each other. So we'll be revisiting these, and looking at it, comparing them again, looking at them before and having a discussion before we award that. And on the paving side of it, there is the dirt work side of it, there is a discrepancy, or not a discrepancy, but there is a, huge difference in the two bids, almost 2 to 1. The lowest bidder, I did reach out to do a comparison of the material to make sure that there wasn't a vast difference. And was assured that, looking at their numbers, there's not, as far as what we spec'd out. The box cut, the 2 culverts, 6 feet, compacted, all of that, is all the same in the bid. The gentleman that was here, during the, pre-bid meetings that did the site walk for Dawson's, he's no longer with that company. So, that made it challenging because that delayed it. We could have had this conversation last week, but, because of his departure, his, boss had to, go in his files and make sure that, we wanna make sure that if we award.
Solid information.
It's solid information, we don't award them the bid and then they're shortchanged and.
Right.
We don't want them to have to come to us for, change orders and things like that, so. With that, we'll review the dirt work side of it too, a little bit deeper, and, make a motion based on that. It's my opinion that given this now, and some other things, I would like to try to, I know it's very busy, the holidays are here and everything, is schedule a work session for us.
I'm good, whatever.
I don't know if Dave wants to be there, there's, for me, there are, some language we talked about, maybe we want a further discussion about, warrant articles. The warrant article for, the emergency disaster thing, do we or do we not? want to
Reword that.
reword that and write a new one, so that any money that comes in from FEMA, it goes into that ETF, create an ETF and just clean that one up. Have a further discussion about the rewording of one of the fire department ones,
Equipment. Fire truck.
so, I don't know, you wanna be there for that?
Yeah, if you want me, that depends on what day it is, I mean, Mondays and Thursdays are my worst days.
Yeah, those are my worst
That's
days
almost-
too, so,
Every day.
We can work around that.
yeah, we can work around that.
Yeah, if you want me there, I don't know if
Yeah.
I'm available,
It can be
you let me
valuable.
know when you're gonna be doing it, that's all.
What time are you usually back? From, Monday through Friday, it's usually 4 o'clock.
Usually I'm back by 4:30.
Okay.
So in the afternoon?
I mean, Tuesday through Wednesday, Friday, or
Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, could work. Daytime, Friday? I mean, what's the best day for you?
Yeah, I can make it work, so,
Okay, we'll set up a time then.
Friday's good for you?
Friday's usually good for me.
Yeah,
So we-
Caitlin's on.
I know Caitlin's things, Caitlin has to
I know, I'm the difficult one.
move her schedule around.
Let's see.
Wednesday day is not good for,
I'm good for anything but the 6th,
on a Friday.
correct.
You said Monday you're tied up, Dave?
Monday.
Mondays and
Down
Thursdays.
south,
Monday and Thursdays, okay.
Monday and Thursdays.
Probably do it Tuesday.
I mean, if you wanna do it Friday, I mean, that's no problem with me, if you wanna do it on the 13th or the 20th.
20 we're tied up.
Can we do the
I'm tight.
how about the 13th? That's on.
Wrong one. The one below, the last one.
December 13th is.
So-
Friday, right?
Monday and Thursday is out for you, what about daytime, any of those other days, Dave?
Yeah, you wanna do something, I mean, you guys gotta, we wanna
I've
try
got,
and get something,
I've got company coming in on the 12th, 13th, 14th, so I won't be able to do that.
So can we shoot for Tuesday the 3rd before us, well, that'd be a really long day, the 10th
10th would work.
on a Tuesday
yeah, that'll work.
at 11 o'clock?
That would work best, only cause meeting days, I wanna make sure I have everything set for your guys' meeting.
I'm good.
If it's earlier in the day at around 11, I'll be okay with that.
Okay, so 11 o'clock on the 10th? Chuck?
Yes. It
Yes.
works.
So we'll be discussing warrants and the paving contract. Pine River. What time again, did he say?
11,
11?
right? You said 11 or 11:30? Okay.
11.
And that's over, to go over Pine River bids, warrant articles, and am I missing something?
Oh, that's pretty much.
We should get you a list of the warrant articles we're gonna discuss.
All right. Thank you.
You okay on, that?
Yeah, unless you guys have anything you wanna, questions to ask or anything.
Can you scan those and send those,
I can.
please?
I did send the whole thing of all of them prior, do you want just the updates?
Yes, that's all I need.
Yep,
Okay,
just-
I can do that.
Thank you.
Shelves too.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, moving on, removal of school desk at the historical town hall.
You missed one, I'm sorry.
Pine River Road property?
I know, it's like right next to each other, but Pine River Road property is next.
Got it. Pine River Road property. What's that about?
So that's the,
Oh, the,
so it's been brought to our attention that, there is what we believe is an assisted living facility. Sorry, I'm just gonna get the chief to bring it back in for this conversation. There was a residential area, and it's been brought to our attention that it is now a residential assisted living facility. No, I'm just looking for the chief,
Oh, here, oh, GT or,
that fire chief.
sorry.
So, Chief, we're just talking about, Pine River Road. And I just, started the conversation with, it's been brought to our attention that there's a residential assisted living facility and a residential home, without,
Has not come before the planning
has
board.
not come before the planning board of the town or the permitting process at all, so,
So I've been and I've done a fire inspection, and I guess
Can can we say the address?
407.
It's 407, it's public, it's,
I've gone and I've done their fire inspection, which is typical, but I guess I've never really been privy necessarily to what's going on as far as building permits and planning board stuff. And I guess to a point, that's shame on me for not being involved in that process, but I had no idea that it wasn't already approved, I just assumed, they've got what they need, they're opening. Somebody must know, but yeah, I guess it was originally planned as a residence. It sat vacant for a few years and then it was purchased by the agency running the group home. It's a limited assistance type of situation, so they're adults that can take care of themselves with, behavioral needs or something like that. So it's not like a nursing type, and there's no medical staff on site. There are just other adults taking care.
How many
of it.
residents?
It's a few, I think it was 4 or 5, it's not very many.
so I'm just curious, did they reach out to you to do their application?
Yeah,
Or
so
to do their inspection, I'm sorry?
I did their propane inspection when they put the furnace in, and then I did their state licensing inspection because they are state licensed, so I had to do the fire safety inspection for that.
So do we have a building permit for this place?
No,
So that,
And I guess with it having been built a few years ago, and then the change of use, yes, they should have come forth, but they probably wouldn't have obtained a new building permit, but they should have come to the planning board.
I mean, they had an original, if you pull the file, they have an original building permit when they built the structure, but it was under a previous owner and nothing to this
Yeah.
extent. And it makes me wonder, I mean, it's almost wanna reach out to the state and say, hey, before you, issue these permits and these,
Well, and
do they have, I mean, I'm curious, when you fill out an application to get your licensing through the state doesn't vet them as having dotted all their i's and crossed all their t's, it's kinda,
they make sure that I've done my part, but outside of that. No.
So where do we go from here?
I don't know where the board would wanna go with this particular, but I think probably a conversation should be had about our processes as far as when people come in front of the planning board, there needs to be a method of communicating that to everybody, so that I know, so that, Bill Highcut knows from a health officer perspective, all that stuff is communicated. I know because I'm doing E911, I now see the driveway permits, but I don't necessarily, like, you folks get Rebecca's report, but I don't necessarily see that, so I don't know who's pulled building permits. And maybe we should, maybe that information should go out to everybody, because that also might trigger me to say, oh, hey, I need to go inspect that place before it's done and ready to go,
But in this case, no, there would have been no trigger because,
it was already built.
yeah, it was already built, so
Yeah.
nobody knows. So
Right.
what I'm trying to say right now is and I agree with you, for future,
Yeah.
you should be involved, everybody.
Well, in the future, if I was regularly informed on what's going on, what's new and what's coming, and that came out of the blue, I would have been like, I don't remember hearing anything about this.
Yeah.
Have you seen the planning board? Obviously, that's not typically a question I would ask.
Correct.
It's not to say that it's not something I couldn't add to a checklist, and hey, did you go to the planning board? Do you have a building permit? I can't really enforce any of that stuff, but I can at least ask the question.
Okay, so yeah, you probably should be on Rebecca's list for the
Yeah.
report that comes out.
And now that the email system, we can make groups, we can, There's
Is there anything through the permitting system that, a part of the checklist that says, this is new construction or you're remodeling or something like that, here's your building permit? Does a building permit have a checklist that says, if you're installing a new propane stove, new propane furnace, or a wood stove, you have to go to the fire chief?
not that I'm aware of.
No,
and you'd be amazed by how many people install those types of appliances, and ultimately, at the end of the day, it doesn't fall on the homeowner, it falls on the person installing it, because they're supposed to know, they're licensed by the state, they should know the regulations. But you'd be amazed how many people get propane tanks installed and stuff like that and do not get their permit. Apparently I can't operate a door.
yeah, we don't have a building inspector.
Chris, isn't there something in the zoning ordinance for business that they have to get the approval to? It's not a building permit, it's an approval for a business, just like we did for the boat. If I remember being on ZBA, the zoning ordinance was that requirement, that they have to be approved for, as a business in that area.
Correct,
And they have to meet certain.
Yeah, residential and all
criteria
that,
as a business in the zoning ordinance.
correct.
But more important to that is where's the central documentation?
Well, and I hate to be the guy that's
Place.
always saying software, but you know,
Where's the central place where that can be entered?
I
and
know other
viewed?
towns use a software to manage all of the permits, so that, you know, as one of the people that issues different types of permits, I would have access to a software and it would show up in my inbox that, hey, this new building permit's out.
So would Access GIS handle it?
That's kind of, I don't remember.
So I
I
have,
know we've got some capability,
Right.
if the information's entered in the system, to
but
be able
there's no
to see it.
notification, I asked the question when we did the demo. There's no way that like when a building
Automation.
permit's uploaded, that it goes, you know, emails out to people or anything like that.
But it can be uploaded.
The data can live there, yes, but there's no,
But there wouldn't be a notification.
there's nothing to tell me that, oh, hey, a new building permit was done at this address.
Well, we get that every month anyhow, the new building permits.
Right.
So
So if
you
that
could-
distribution went out to
Two.
me and maybe even Bill, again, you know,
Yeah.
he's got some input
I agree
on
with
that
that.
stuff too.
So I think that we
Should go out anyhow,
Actually, I would put it out to both chiefs and Bill,
yes, agree.
so they're all three are aware of it.
I think we would be absolutely well within our purview if we rewrote this, this is the town building permit
Okay, yeah.
application,
Right.
residential. In the bottom box, it has, additional permits or approvals required, there's a checklist, special exemptions, variances, site plan, other. And it has a signature line for health officer and a signature line for zoning officer. I feel that we should add a third line for the fire chief. And then that would earmark, you know, if I'm filling this out, it'd be like, why does the fire chief have to sign off on that? And the fire chief, that would mean they have a conversation and say, you're doing propane, you're doing wood stove. And if so, then once that is been inspected, he checks off on it and signs it, and along with the other two.
That would be the only way we'd be able to identify those issues.
Absolutely. I'm in favor of that.
What's this take to get this changed?
I don't feel that we'd have to,
It's a form.
it's a form, I don't
We
think
just
it's a.
have to
So we just gotta
I
add
don't
the
think it's
extra.
We just need to go and modify the form ourselves.
Yeah, I don't feel it's a change to the
And
zoning.
just make sure
ordinance,
that
okay?
whatever we've got up on the website gets changed and whatever Rebecca's got in her documents changes.
Right, put it on the agenda.
Not for the fire chief.
We'll get this updated.
Just to have me sign.
On the
off.
agenda or?
Or, yeah,
Okay.
future. Not the agenda, but work session, whatever. Or do we need a work
You
session?
don't even need a work session, we just need to basically okay it once it's done,
In that bottom box.
but
Do the planning or zoning board submit any kind of report, or do they come up with anything?
if it's if the person makes an application before, there's a whole process.
Yeah.
But in this case, they didn't follow the process that's
Correct.
part of the town. So there's no way you'd ever known about it,
Yeah.
and there's no way ZBA or even the planning board would have known about it. So, except the way you fell
But
over it.
moving forward, I think just like with this, planning and the zoning board should have the same, at some
Yes,
point,
needs
just
to be-
send a notification off so that we're aware of what's going on. You know,
Yeah,
So,
and we can actually, from a decision standpoint,
Right here.
we could, from a planning board standpoint, we could add you on to the distribution of decisions.
Yeah.
Update it, if not,
I'll make sure, I'll make that happen, I'll copy you on it tonight.
I'm sure it would have to be as a Word document.
yeah, it should be a Word document.
If it's in the ordinance.
So can you just add a line for
add that, we
JT?
have to vote on it, make ordinance.
Just adding for him to sign?
Yes, yeah, the bottom,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah, that's all we need
Maybe
to do. Then we'll just have to approve it.
Did you leave that open? Probably not. We just have to, I mean, to Dave's point is, if this form right here is in the zoning ordinance, it may take a zoning change to,
Right, that's what I was kinda looking at.
so we have to look at that first, and so we'll go from there, but, as far as like what we do moving forward, I think that may not necessarily be a conversation for
Agreed.
right now, but.
But right now, the main subject right now is on Pine River, how do we go forward?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So, what do we do? They're not in compliance. They have to get a permit or something. Documentation.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what it is when you were starting in arrears.
Bring them to the planning board. get to the chair of the planning board, tell them there's a business without been approved.
Correct.
That form is not.
but they're not enforcement, we just went through that.
No, but they can send out the letter to tell them what they need to do to get approved or disapproved. Talk to George, George will give you more information.
And, yeah,
Can you bring that up to the planning board?
yeah, George is out of country, so I will, I'll get it to Elaine.
I mean, we gotta start somewhere, so.
No, I got it. I will take care of it
Alright,
at the next meeting, which I think is next week.
Yes, it is the third, no, the fifth, sorry.
go my glasses.
That wall completely, whoa,
Binoculars.
how does that, I can see that.
And as far as getting this updated, we need to see.
He just said it's not in the zoning
Yes,
ordinance.
so JT's looking at the zoning ordinance. And he said he doesn't see that in there, so.
Form shouldn't be in there, cause that way, for the reasons you just said, that way you couldn't go and make any edits to it at all.
Yeah, you always wanna make edits,
No, I don't see it in there either, just section 1105 references it.
1105 is said there.
Mhm.
I don't see a date on here when it was approved. Oh, revision
Section-
5/1/23.
Section 1105.
Oh, yeah,
There's a rev on it.
I guess like that.
Okay,
Yeah, 1105 just basically says that it expires 24 months after the date of issue. 12-month extension if they request it. RVs and campgrounds at 12 months. That's it. So,
okay,
the only thing I could see is it could be considered a change of process if there's an additional review. It's very similar to what we did with the gas tanks, where I was supposed to review them and we took that out of the ordinance. That's the only argument back I could see that, now there's an additional person reviewing that wasn't part of the original process.
Just curious, question. You said you inspect propane tanks, right, or install them, you check the piping system and all that, you have the background on that?
Limited enough to verify that it's up to fire code.
Oh, the fire code
That's
only,
it's a state fire marshal's requirement, if you install any new fuel burning appliance, whether it's a propane stove, a whole home furnace, anything like that runs off of a fuel fired, or fuel of any kind, I'm required to inspect.
but what I'm questioning is just more the piping system and everything else, like a generator, you gotta have so many from the regulator and all that,
Yep,
Yep.
I have to verify all that stuff,
Okay. Alright, just a question. Good.
and no, I don't agree with it.
Alright. Any other additional questions on this, Pine River property?
stay tuned.
Stay tuned, yeah.
I just emailed Kate when the contacts for that property, so if anybody needs them, she has them.
Alright, great. Good on record. Removal of school desks at the historical town hall. I'll let you go jump on that one.
So the third floor of the historic town hall library has a number of
About 40 desks.
antique desks up there from at least two different schools, by the looks of the
Early 1900s.
types of the schools. We need to get weight off the third floor. We moved them around a couple years ago to get the weight off the temple, which the architect recommended we do. So we put it over the large community room, and we now are seeing larger cracks in the ceiling of that one. And before we do our restoration project next year, we need to get rid of the weight. I talked to the president of the Historical Society, Bill Taylor. Bill came down last year and I said, can you use any of these? He took 9 or 10 desks
Yeah, we delivered.
up to the normal school, so he said, that's all I want, I don't want any more as a representative. Beyond that, there's probably 3 or 4 of the original desks, which we're probably gonna wanna keep.
The big wooden ones?
The big wooden ones.
There's probably almost 10 of them,
10 of them,
but they're not heavy.
okay. But
Those
the,
are original, no,
those are like the original
oh, they're
originals.
originals.
But the other ones were brought there from schools that had closed down in the past. What we were thinking of is basically we need to get rid of the weight, and the Historical Society has copies of the versions they want, so we thought about auctioning off the remainder. And whatever is raised for that, put it toward the Historic Town Hall project.
I was thinking either that or put something on there that says, you know, purchase a desk by donation.
And we did some kind of a marketing. Can any of them be used at the Davis Meeting House? No, okay, okay. Yeah, cause I mean, between, I think preservation, I talked to Karen said she's gonna take a couple of them down there.
Oh, really?
I'm just talking out loud, I don't know what for. But
We're gonna wait the dumpster cap in the corner.
beyond that, we've gotta get rid of the weight. So we'll come up with a fundraiser and market it really well, and
Yeah, I think some sort of.
Minimum
market,
price.
I'd be okay for that, I mean, I wouldn't wanna see them get thrown away,
nope,
so.
they'll go,
Oh, no, there's value to it.
there's some value there, so.
Has there been any conversation about reaching out to any of the local antique dealers and seeing if, you know, putting a value on it, or?
There's actually, one of the people that was at the meeting the other night has a daughter, I think, that is very active online in selling antiques of this type. And they literally, while we were at the meeting, they went online and they're going anywhere from $100 to $300.
So,
Yeah, with the desk and the chair. So we thought, once we got the okay, we would then start pulling together a plan of going in a couple different directions, antique dealers, online, word of mouth, marketing it through any newsletters, emails, or whatever, and getting the word out. We've got a couple people that have already said, hey, I wanna buy a couple of them for, you know, use in my old house and whatever, so. But we'll go at it in a multi-faceted way
that's what they look like.
to basically,
Yeah,
see if we can get
let's low price that one.
I know,
get a little bit of resources.
kinda look like that.
Yeah, it kinda looks
Same
like,
bottom.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, they were online, they were in 100 to 400,
I'd like to
500,
buy one, but I'm not paying $440.
it's okay. But I'm not shipping them either, so it's like, that's the other thing too.
You gotta remember too, some, the cast iron is broken.
Right, we'll have to take a look at them and
Yeah.
decide which ones we can get rid of and which ones we can. So,
Yeah, I'm all for trying
okay,
to
So do we need a
liquidate
vote?
them.
where it's town property, we should probably do that.
Make a motion to dispose of the old school desk at the historical town hall for the purpose, for the donations to the HDH project.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Siemens eye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Announcements.
Only announcement that I didn't realize to put on here, Thursday, the 28th, town offices will be closed in observance of Thanksgiving.
Have to give it.
So, only thing I didn't put on there.
Public comments.
Say next Thursday or this Thursday?
This Thursday.
Yes, JT.
Back to the building permit stuff, I just told Caitlin, Avatar has a module that handles building permits. So I just reached out to find out if it's part of what we currently subscribe to, and if not, what the cost would be to add it. But it would manage all that data online versus our current process, so
Something to look in.
something to look into.
I did, no other public comments, I did have, one thing with a business on the Axis GIS.
Did you have public comment? Oh,
I can come back to you. With the contract, we did receive the contract today.
Yes, you have a
Sorry.
copy of that, I
Yeah.
believe.
I don't have all of it, but, looking at the fees, we're looking at, what was the assessing? And write it down.
boy,
It's almost $13,000 total.
how is that, how'd that add up?
So,
Wow.
That was, but there's one time and then ongoing. one time was basically about half of what the ongoing was.
Leo, may I jump in?
Yes,
on
please
this
jump
one?
in there.
Okay. I spoke with Mr. Rossi today, I did ask him and let him know that we wanted to move forward, and the board approved $7,225 at the last meeting.
Yeah, I knew
He
that.
immediately called me
Didn't bring
with
it up.
confusion,
Oh, I
as
knew that.
numbers didn't add up. When figuring out where that $7,225 came from, that was with the one-time startup fees only, and also include, or not including the refresh tool, which I believe we had discussed, that was one thing we were saying no to. However, when he stated that, or when I brought that up to him, he included that the yearly payment would also have to be paid at the time that we signed up for the Access GIS,
Which,
That's right.
he said.
which is going to be
Rather than-
around
So
13,000.
rather than doing the one-time installation this year and then doing the ongoing annual license next year.
We'd have to pay all the,
thing upfront.
it was $12,925, I believe,
For both,
for.
$12.95.
yeah, that's about what I was thinking when I added it up.
So, that's the only
That
thing I
isn't what
thought
I
of.
was counting on.
So I know we voted on or you had voted on the 7,225. Either way, and I did discuss with Leo, I think this would be something we'd have to do next year, no matter what, we're in
Budget's out of
December.
limit.
Well, yeah, the other thing.
Okay, so we could, I'm sorry, Chris.
Oh, that's okay. I was just thinking if is it calendar year on the yearly fee?
I can ask that I'm not sure of. When I pay any annual, it's usually when I sign up and that's when it's due, but I would like to confirm that, I don't wanna
Cause I mean, that would be something if, we did do it and we spend the $3,000 for the yearly and it ends,
Yeah,
and we're on the hook for another $3,000 January first, so.
we talked about doing the one-time install this year, doing the annual next year. So let's consider signing the contract for January 2. And basically we'll carry over what we were gonna spend this year into next year. Can't do it?
It was gonna be out of no, we might be able to. The original software purchase that we were gonna take out of, we were gonna use 4152 assessing software. There's 5,500 in there.
But is that something that by DR regulations we can carry over?
Can we carry that?
Yeah,
Dave?
you can carry that over, as long as you guys agree to carry that over.
And it has to be for a specific purpose, then used within that following calendar year.
So that's only 5,500. We haven't used.
And I believe we put in,
For 25?
We can carry over whatever number we want,
well, no, I'm saying for next year,
Yes.
what we had budgeted
On reserve.
for
yeah.
4152 for that line item, we
Oh,
did include
okay.
access
We have money
on
in there
it.
too, so
Okay,
the balance, I mean, we can use it on other stuff.
I wanna say we probably put, I can't remember off the top of my head, I don't have it in front of me. I wanna say we put in at least 7 or 9, cause I think 9 is the grand total for all.
We did up it.
Yeah,
And you plan on using 4152 software, the 5,500 that we have up in there?
Yes,
yes, but this is gonna be something that would be paid out at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, and that was what we were planning to do this year, to do the initial, right?
right.
Correct.
I know the carriers have some limitations, but as long as we had intentions of spending it on the software, and now that software, you're moving the date for a specific reason.
$6,000 we approved.
for next
Yeah,
year.
at
next year.
11.5.
What does it cost now?
12.3, 7.
12.925.
That's the module add-ons plus the one-time initial?
And the yearly,
The one-time initial setup plus the yearly on them.
and the
So what does
modules,
that put the yearly at?
3,000.
3,000
No, it's
No.
3,000 plus some of the modules.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry,
So 12.9,
25.
5,500 is what we were gonna, what we would be carrying over?
Correct,
six grand's what we had allocated for next year,
so we're still minus,
and these were 1,425 short.
right,
We'd have to increase the software line for next year by 1,425.
Or take it from mapping. Cause this is a mapping thing too.
That's true.
yeah, and there's
And that could've been what we
$1,400 in there.
discussed For
Yep.
55.
Well, I
and-
thought that's what we were gonna come up with, the difference was from the
Yeah,
mapping section.
No, that's
you
good.
say that,
That works.
Can you pay them early?
We're gonna find, what do you mean, this year?
Cause I thought Michelle wanted to start.
We don't wanna go over the budget,
No, this is Access GIS, this is the
The map.
this is
Yeah,
the mapping software,
Oh, okay, the mapping software.
correct.
we wanna stay within the budget, we don't wanna overspend.
So where is the mapping under, under,
4191 zoning
Yeah.
officer. It could actually be under assessing too,
They could,
I have to actually, sorry.
tax maps?
Yeah, so tax maps, there's 1,400 in there,
Yeah.
and then, yeah, so the mapping's under 4152.
Cause they are the tax maps too, then the mapping, and that would do the same thing at the same time, cause access would be the.
So can we do a deposit of 5,500 in December? Pay the difference in January?
didn't you ask them that?
I did not ask him that. I can ask him that.
Cause we could sign the contract in December, pay the deposit. Then in January, pay the difference,
Well, implement it January 2nd.
yeah. But that way they'd have a signed contract, they'd have a deposit, they'd have the other part of it.
And they could start building it, cause it takes 3 months.
So we can use this year's budget, this money here.
That's what I'm thinking, that's why I'm
Yeah,
going that
sure.
route.
I can check with him,
And tell them why we wanna do it.
yeah,
Just from a budgeting standpoint, making it work. We do the contract, do it December, we spend that, we give them what we had allocated here, and then in January too, we give them the difference between that
With
and
the new budget, right?
I can do that.
And then hope it,
And he can rewrite it, so much due December, so much due January. To get to the total.
We made that happen.
Okay, good. Should've brought it up early, sorry about that.
Okay.
Non-public. We're all done with public comments.
Have a good turkey.
Right, Thanksgiving.
have a good Thanksgiving, Dave, thank you.
Make motion go non-public, to RSA 91-A:3, period. Roman number 2, small a,
Second,
all in favor.
Aye,
Siemens, aye.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, make a motion to come out of non-public, RSA 91-8:3, number 2, small a,
Second,
all in favor,
Siemens, aye.
Fuller, aye.
Brazing, aye. Gotta go back.
Make a motion to go into non-public?
Make a motion to go into non-public RSA 91-8:3, comma, 2, I, little I,
Second,
all in favor,
Fuller, aye.
Siemens, aye.
Brazing, aye.
Okay,
Make a motion to come out RSA 91-8:3, Roman numeral 2, little I.
second,
All in favor?
Full right.
Stevens, aye.
Christina, aye.
And can I just ask, when you do adjourn the meeting itself, could you just state the time again?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:37.
Second,
All in favor?
Full right.
Stevens, aye.
Christina, aye.